Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So today, let's talk about what's going on with the US market. Is it going to turn green? What is the Fed minutes going to say? And of course, let's talk about Bitcoin and this one crypto that brought up this portfolio from $15,000 to $85 million. Which crypto is this? Well, let's take a look. Good morning, guys. Welcome. The market bell has just rung. The best bell in the industry. I have not changed the battery for like 4 years. It's still going strong. But take a look. U.S. market looks like it wants to turn green today. Yesterday was horrendous. Let's hope that it doesn't continue. But recently, Bitcoin has been decoupling from the market. So even if the market does turn red, that may not affect Bitcoin. But today, everyone is looking at the Fed minutes. But unfortunately, right before the Fed minutes, this guy right here, St. Louis Fed President James Bullard, is still pushing his narrative of being hawkish and needing to, needing to raise the Fed fund rate up to 5.4%. We are about 4.5%. So he's suggesting not only do we go higher, but we go higher than even originally anticipated. All right. And that's not good. Fed Bullard, I believe, he's a little jelly of Mr. Powell. And he's doing all these press conferences and interviews and stuff like that, sharing what he thinks. But here's the thing. No one cares about what he thinks. People just care about what Powell thinks. People care about what Powell's going to say and what he's going to decide, okay? But Bullard thinks he knows better. So he's always doing these things, always trying to scare the market because he's way more hawkish than Powell is, and he thinks he's correct. He needs to just shut the F up, okay? This is not his job. So I've said enough about this guy already. He's actually the one that made the market go down last week because of his sentiment, his hawkish sentiment. Again, it's not his decision to make, okay? But good thing is we will get the Fed minutes today. I think it comes out around noontime, around there, somewhere around noontime, right? And the Fed minutes will state what was discussed closed doors during the last FOMC meeting, right? There's something interesting about this Fed minute. The last few pretty, uninteresting, okay? The markets didn't move at all after the Fed minutes came out, but this one could be different, very, very different. And that's because those of you guys that watched the FOMC press conference with me, right? We always watch through, the Q&A session, right? Take a look at this one. This one is important, very important.
Did you or your colleagues discuss the conditions for a pause at this meeting this week?
You'll see the minutes will come out in 3 weeks, and we'll give you a lot of detail. We spent a lot of time talking about the path ahead and the state of the economy, and I wouldn't want to start to describe all the details there, but that was the sense of the discussion, was really talking quite a bit about the path forward.
See, this is why it's interesting. This is why this Fed minutes could be explosive. Basically, he was asked, okay, this is the opposite again of what Bullard is saying. Basically, he was asked whether or not we really need to go and continue higher to that 5% Fed fund rate that was originally planned out or originally thought was needed, right? Basically, this report is asking, hey, can we see a Fed pivot this year, right? And Powell dodged the question. He didn't answer it other than saying, wait for the Fed minutes to come out, right? And during the live conference, I told you guys, this is bullish. This is very bullish because he didn't flat out say no. He said, wait for the Fed minutes to come out. Why would he say that, right? That means that discussion happened, but he didn't want to say at the time because he didn't want to come off as being too dovish, I believe, right? So I think today's Fed minutes will say a lot. I think it's going to say a lot of what they're looking at, the indicators or the price levels, whatever they are looking at. And they may state that, okay, if this happens, right, if we see continuation of inflation going down, right, even though the labor market is strong, we will consider not raising rates, right, or we may end at 4.75 instead of 5%, we'll just have to see. It could be good. It could be really, really good. I think it can be really good because otherwise, why didn't he just share it during the press conference? Why did he tell people to wait for the Fed minutes, right? So this will be coming out. Could be a game changer for today and the remainder of this week and remainder of this month. But, outside of today, the Fed minutes, tomorrow we have some big data, Q4 GDP, which is big. Right on Friday, we have PC inflation as well. That's going to be huge. But other things like jobless claims, new home sales, stuff like that, that's also important. But the biggest one will be probably today from the Fed minutes. And Citigroup also expects less hard landing for a global economy this year. So that's good overall. We know U.S. economy is starting to pick up a little bit. China, we know, is really starting to pick up. And others are starting to pick up as well from bottom. And not to say that we're in like full growth mode, but we are definitely recovering from bottom. And that's good. That's good overall. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned about Bitcoin and decoupling, right? There's been a great kind of decoupling. I don't know about great, but I take that back. Maybe not great, but there is a decoupling that's starting to happen, right? You can see the stock market ever since last week started heading down, mostly again because of Bullard, okay? He's the sole reason why the market shifted red last week and possibly this week because of what he said today. But you can see Bitcoin, stays strong around 24,000, even 25,000 a couple times, right? So you're starting to see that decoupling right now. And that's fantastic. That's really fantastic, right? And as time goes on, we're going to see more and more of this. Now, there's certain times, it's too early to make this call. There's certain times where, Bitcoin does decouple favorably and sometimes unfavorably. Because sometimes the market goes up and Bitcoin doesn't move, right? But that's not what's happening right now. And at the end, before I do Q&A, let me show you the correlation with the DXY. And I found something interesting with that. But again, Bitcoin is doing its thing. It's coming up from bottom. And this one is looking at the Fibonacci level 1.618 ratio and how that's been a hard level to crack, especially coming up from bottom, right? In 2015, actually, Bitcoin was unsuccessful in terms of breaking it. Went down a little bit and then finally broke through. In 2019, it did break through. And then 2023, right now, we did break through as well. It's one of those, levels that on a longer scale, right, is important. But obviously, we have seen periods where we have gone up and down it. But it's just one in many to look at, including also you see the blue line, which is the 200 weekly moving average, right? That's also important. And that is something that we need to break because we're right there. That's part of the reason why some people think we have not been able to break 25.2 because the 200 weekly moving average is 25.2, and that's the reason, right? And if we do break through it, it will be absolutely enormous. That is where the bears are putting up all their ammunition, right? They do not want that to happen. Every time we have dipped below the 200 weekly moving average and we came back above, we had a tremendous run and recovery afterwards, right? We could see something like that happen again. Certainly, right? This is interesting. This is actually looking at some of the countries around the world and their central bank and what they're doing. China recently just injected a whole bunch of money into their economy, started buying up more bonds, didn't raise their rates, right? So that's the very bottom. And you can see how the total assets owned by their central bank continues to go upwards. The Bank of Japan, you could see how, it kind of went up and then down a little bit and then boom, right back up. Because they felt like they needed an injection, right? Like it wasn't enough. But the interesting thing is if you look at the ECB and the Fed in the US, right, the total assets started coming down. This is part of the plan from Powell to kind of shed assets, shed bonds that they hold, right? But some people are thinking maybe they're going to follow what Japan and China have done, and that is to start buying bonds again and inject more liquidity into the market. It'll be interesting to see if that's really the case. I don't think it's going to happen in the U.S. The U.S. is leading the way. Powell has been very aggressive with rate hikes, so I don't think we're going to get to that point yet. But, that's what some people think. Again, this has to do with, let's just leave it at that. Let's see what happens, okay? The Fed minutes will shed a lot of that later today. Now, as for some of the other stuff going on, we know that, I did talk about China a lot recently, but I do think this is big, and a lot of people are talking about it, how China is giving a nod to Hong Kong to go ahead and basically create new regulations and new laws that allows crypto exchanges to operate. And not only allow them to operate, but allow citizens to trade crypto, right? That's huge. That's huge. China could just shut this down immediately, but they decided to let this go because their thinking is, these guys are probably using VPNs or just figuring out ways around their firewall and using exchanges overseas. Why would we want them to do that? We can create our own and then let our citizens invest in those companies, right? So that's pretty bullish. I think it's kind of like a 180, right? A 180 in terms of their very anti-crypto stance. But here's the thing. It's confusing because even though it seems like they're very anti-crypto, right? Their courts still ruled that as a citizen in China, Bitcoin and other crypto are forms of assets that, they are actually assets, right? So you can actually go after people for stealing your assets, for example. So it's kind of weird. Again, overall, I think this is pretty good. As for some crypto stuff, Tezos, you know what? They just got a big endorsement from Google Cloud because Google Cloud is going to become a validator, right? Interesting. And Google Cloud is going to allow anyone to deploy a Tezos node if they wanted to, right? So we hear a lot about this. Google Cloud does this a lot. They basically open up a node so that they're part of the network, and then they allow others to open up their own nodes. And they're not the only ones. Google Cloud also made a partnership with Avalanche recently, and before that, several others too. So, Google Cloud is trying to prepare themselves for the future, trying to get involved and probably learn a thing or two from some of these guys, right? Makes sense. Klaytn proposing another L1. This is out of South Korea, owned by some big companies, right? They're proposing to burn like nearly half of their token supply held by the team. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know too much about Klaytn, to be honest. What I do know is they seem like they're up and coming, owned by some deep pockets, and like DeFi Kingdoms also chose to move to Klaytn. So shows promise. And then lastly, some of you guys are waiting for this 15,000 to 85 million. I mean, this happens all the time in crypto, right? And I bet a lot of you guys guessed, well, it has to be like a meme coin like SHIB or something like that. No, it's not. And it's actually from someone you guys probably heard of before. I saw this last minute. Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanahan, right? He bought 50,000 Ether during the ICO at 30 cents each for $15,000. Okay. And guess what it's worth today? $85 million. 15,000 to $85 million. And that's just like a few years, right? Things in crypto move very, very, very fast. There's stories about people who did buy sheep. Same thing. Someone bought like, $10,000 worth of sheep and it became like $6 billion at the peak of 2021. I mean, you hear stories about this all the time. Okay. This is why so many people get involved with crypto. It does happen, not often, but it happens more in crypto than any other investment out there, right? To turn 15,000 into 85 million with real estate, with stocks, with bonds, with gold, with ETFs. I mean, virtually impossible, but it happens in crypto. And here's the thing. You may be thinking, well, I have to find some unknown gem for this to happen. But the thing is, you don't, because a lot of the crypto that I talk about has the 100x potential, even at current levels, right? So you could see a lot of this in the crypto space, and that's what makes it so exciting. And there will be more stories like this in the future. It's not like a one and done deal. There's so many stories like this. This is why crypto is exciting. But again, it comes rarely. It doesn't come every day, right? That's why it's still good to hold on Bitcoin and the big caps for strength, right? But that's why I always say it's also good to be diversified. Have a little bit in some of the smaller caps, the micro caps, the up and coming gems that can explode and carry your portfolio in a big way, right? So want to share that with you guys. And also, speaking of Ethereum, it is still very deflationary at this point, minus 32,000 ETH, burned since the merge. Good stuff. Crypto fear and greed index, still greedy. I'm actually quite surprised by this. I thought a lot more people would turn bearish, but no, I'm glad to see that people are still greedy at this point, as they should be, because we are coming up from bottom and things are getting better, right? This is the time to be greedy, not the time to be fearful. So I'm glad to see this. All right. That is what I want to cover. The market is trying to stay green right now, but the Fed minutes could be absolutely huge. And that should be coming around in like a few hours. Hey, look at this. Microsoft brings AI chatbot to Bing app on iPhone and Android. I'm going to have to download that. I'm going to have to test that out. All right, let's do some Q&A. Michael, I talked about Anchor's partnership with Microsoft yesterday. Nothing is getting better, George. What are you talking about? Federico, what are you talking about? Things are getting better. You're just not paying attention, or you refuse to believe. All right, scrolling up here. Let me see if I missed anything. My chat window now is so big. YouTube changed something. It's like enormous. Filecoin. Jesus asked about Filecoin. Well, I'll just say this. I like Arweave better as a decentralized storage play, but Filecoin can become interesting after they release their layer 2 to make themselves into a... Well, not their layer. I take that back. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they release their virtual machine and make themselves into a layer 2/layer 1. So we'll see how that goes. Bukola, new member. Welcome, welcome. What do you truly think about Casper? Looks like a sleeping giant's working with IBM. I truly can't tell you. You're making it sound like I'm trying to hide it from you. I truly don't think anything of Casper. It's not something I pay attention to. But for you, I will pay attention to it more. IBM, like, honestly, does anyone talk about IBM? To be frank, no one talks about IBM anymore. I mean, they seem like they're still a big giant, a tech giant, and they sort of is, but are an irrelevant tech giant now. And a lot of people work with IBM. I think Hedera also works with IBM too. And Stellar used to work with IBM. They're like light partnerships. Are you more bullish on Phantom or Polygon? You know what? Yesterday I said I'm going to be more interactive. I think that is a great question. I'm going to put a poll up right now. And let's see. What people say. All right, I put up the poll. But for me, right now, I would say I think Phantom has greater price appreciation potential, but Polygon overall is the go-to project, I think, for me. Miles, I buy Ledger. I can call you. Can you help me? No, I can't. There's plenty of guides and articles and videos. ENS or Unstoppable Domains. I mean, ENS seems to have the lead, but Unstoppable Domains have so many domains, including .crypto and a lot of other stuff. The only thing is I don't like how Unstoppable Domains charges for their domains. It's not like .coms and stuff like that. Like back in the day, you could buy a whole lot of stuff and park them and then resell them, right? Now, Unstoppable Domains knows what domain names are hot, and they'll just charge a huge premium on top of it, on top of their normal price, I should say. And, I don't like that. But we'll see. We'll see who wins out. ENS has their own token. Unstoppable Domains do not. I asked them before if they're going to come out with their own token. They said no. According to the poll, definitely more people. Yeah, most people are more bullish on Polygon than Phantom. 81% versus 19%. I think that's accurate. That's very accurate. That's how I kind of see it too. But I do think I said greater price appreciation potential for Phantom, and that's because it's much lower. Polygon is already a top 10. Phantom is still way, way below. So can they appreciate more short term? Yeah. Hoshi, thoughts on Flux? I don't really have thoughts on it. Looks like it's a good decentralized hosting solution. They work with a couple companies I like Cadena. That's about it. So 20, I'm going to end the poll. 20% for Phantom, 80% for Polygon. Do I have an opinion on Caspa? No, I don't. Why do so many people ask about Caspa? Who's talking about it? It makes me wonder. I always get asked about Caspa all the time, but I'm not familiar with it. It's the fastest open source, decentralized, fully scalable L1 in the world. The world's first block DAG, parallel blocks and instant transaction confirmation. I think I read this before. Okay. A lot of, I mean, this sounds impressive, but a lot of L1s promise the same thing. So what is so special about them? They have their own wallet, web, mobile wallet, desktop wallet. Okay, those are good. Command line wallet. They're on some smaller exchanges. I do like Mexi, though. I got to say, I do like Mexi. Public donations are welcome. I don't know. I was going to say that. Not a fan of that. I don't know. They don't look all that amazing. Token economics looks decent. 59% is circulating out of the max supply. That's not bad. That's not bad. And they are proof of work. Okay. I mean, they don't look bad. I just don't. I don't know the secret sauce, I guess, to Caspa, if there is one. How do you feel about Ethereum Classic? Horrible, horrible. They have no use case. The IT Classic guy says it's a proof of work coin. Okay. What mistakes did you make on your first bear cycle? Selling and thinking I could outsmart the market. I mean, I say that all the time. I've been through enough cycles to not just crypto, but stock market cycles to finally have. I made so many mistakes, but I finally have learned from them and now not repeating those same mistakes. Number one is selling. If you have something great, don't sell it during a bear market. That's the number one mistake because things come up much faster than you think, and then you're forced to buy back at a higher price, and now you have less of it. That's number one. Number two is trying to outsmart the market, thinking that you can use your fancy charts or whatever, metrics that you have, and you think that, it's going to start turning upwards or going to start turning downwards, and you start day trading and you try to, really outsmart the market. Eventually it catches up to you, especially if you use leverage, and then you go get wrecked. And so many people get wrecked with leverage. They may win the first 9 out of 10 tries and they think they're a genius. The 10th try, they lose it all. It has happened to so many people. It's kind of part of the journey. Almost everyone in this space have used leverage at one time or another, and eventually they get wrecked, and then eventually they realize, well, maybe it's not so smart to use it. Those kind of things. That's why consistency, DCA, holding, best strategy. Best strategy. There's really nothing that's better. DCA when things are low, accumulate, hodl until things come back up, and you'll be better for it. ADA price target next bull run. I'll say $5. I'll say that's a good number. Talk about ICP 100x potential. I don't know about 100x. I never liked ICP. 100x. Okay, so there are 2 billion market cap, so that would give them a 2 trillion market cap. Can that happen? I guess technically it can happen. Is it likely to happen? No. No, it's not. We need videos on taking profits. Well, right now I don't believe is the right time to be taking profits, because there's so much you're leaving on the table if you do. But if you want to take profits, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no secret formula to it. If you think you've made enough, take your original investment back. So then you're playing with house money. That's really it. So if you put in $100, now it's worth $200. You take $100 back, and then you let the 100 ride, or you could just sell it all if you want to, right? But rule number one is just take back what you put in, and then you're just playing with house money. So even if it go back to zero, you're not hurt by it. The DJ Benefit Cardano. Hey, Illegos, I've told other people this, and I'm just gonna say it right now. If you're trying to reach my attention, don't use @CryptosRUs every single question. People have done that before, and they have been banned because it irritates me. I don't mind if you do it once in a while, but if you do it every single time, you will get timed out and then banned. Okay, I know you're a loyal watcher and follower, but this is something that really irritates me. But to answer your question, did DJ benefit Cardano in any way? It's not going to benefit it right away. It takes a while before the liquidity builds up and gets circulated among the dApps and liquidity pools and stuff like that. So it's not a dud. It just takes a while. What is the max you could see from XRP this next bull run? Well, XRP needs to settle its SEC lawsuit first. Until that happens, it's not going to go on any significant run. But if it does, it could easily get back to its previous $4 high and shatter through that. XRP is like the only big cap on CMC, or the top 100, that did not form a new top in 2021. Every single project formed a huge new high in 2021. XRP is the only one that didn't. Crossy reckons you're a legend. Well, thank you. Who's Crossy? I have no idea. I have no idea. What is the tax form for tax harvesting? I don't know what the form number is. I watch all your videos. What's your view on Sol or Avalanche? Well, if you watch all my videos, you know my views on Sol and Avalanche, man. I buy much Velo. Is it good? I have no idea what Velo is. Miles. It's a pretty small project in BNB chain. Supercharge money, velocity, connecting businesses and individuals with global pool of funds to supercharge velocity and money through. That actually sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like something that's not going to work. Yeah, I'm going to say no to that. All right. Why no one talking about Lyra Finance? Never heard of it. You previously mentioned you had no thoughts on H-bar. Has that changed at all? No. How do you feel about Render? To be honest, I'm starting to warm up on Render, because before I really did not like it. I really thought it was stupid to rent GPU and be able to lend GPU power over Ethereum network, right? But They have tried to optimize things, so it's a little bit better. They're probably going to move to some L2 in the future. But I have seen people say they used it very effectively. They're kind of like, people are thinking they could kind of be used in AI. I'm not quite sure if that's real, but their new token economics is going to be much better than before. So they're going to burn, they're going to make, renting based on a dollar amount rather than a token amount. So I'm starting to warm up to them. Let's just put it that way. Pocket network. Why does that sound familiar? Accelerating futures, Web 3.0, infrastructure decentralized, the only reliable decentralized RPC network in the world, governed by the high-performance DAO. So this is an anchor competitor. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, they write you like a node, and you can do whatever you want with it, or make calls to it, or make calls to other projects. So they're an anchor competitor. They support 4 chains. I mean, smaller than Anchor. They're on KuCoin. I mean, they're okay, I guess. I don't know about node providers, honestly. I don't know. I mean, if you were a hardcore guy, you would just run your node on a VPS, or you run on your own computer. Do you really need to rent it from Pocket Network? I guess you can, but still, I'm not so sure about them. I'm neutral. I'm just saying neutral. Nothing wrong with them. It's just not very exciting to me. Yeah, I'm out of coffee here. I'm out of coffee. How do you feel about Chainlink? I feel they're very necessary in this space. Very necessary. So, Chainlink is always slow moving. Has always been the case. So if you're expecting it to be like pumping like crazy, it's not going to happen. It's already pretty big. It's a very slow moving. Project. Webby, again, I have no idea who that is. I'm sorry, I have no idea. How many crypto projects do you think you can name off the top of your head? 500? No, probably not that much. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't know. It would be a good amount, but scrolling through CMC, I could probably tell you what about, like, I don't know about 500, like maybe 200-300, what the projects do. I can't keep up with every single one, but I could give you like a rough idea of what they do. Replace your coffee with green tea. I've been thinking about that. I would do that, except, I get my coffee through, those coffee pods. Those, what do you call those? Is it Keurig or whatever you call it? I've been using that for years, so I've been just buying coffee pods. I don't think they have like green tea pods. You have to just kind of make it through bags or something, or buy bottles. So that's kind of the reason why I've not done the switch. What is the market looking at? It's a good point here. It's not doing anything. It's not going to do anything until the Fed minutes come out. Okay, which could be very good. Could be explosive, because it could detail what the Fed wants to see for a pivot to happen, right? So it could be very, very, very explosive afterwards in a good way, in a good way. Do they have green tea pods? I never see them when I'm shopping. The refillable pods are much less expensive. Yeah, they are, but it takes more work. And I don't have time for that. Refilling pods is for peasants. I'm beyond that now. US market, at least Nasdaq, S&P turned red. I think the Fed minutes, people are preparing for it. All right, guys. Let's conclude. You know, today is kind of iffy right now. We got Bullard talking once again, being very hawkish. He needs to just keep his mouth shut. But we'll see what the Fed minutes say in terms of pivoting, what the Fed wants to see, right? But overall, there's a lot of good right now. We're in recovery mode. Bitcoin is starting to decouple from the markets, although today is a little bit weaker. But overall, we're in recovery mode. And things will get explosive in the future. Just like this story right here. There will be more of it. There'll be way more stories like this in the next bull run, which is why it's so exciting to be in crypto. All right, guys. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.